Hey, how's it going? This is Eric. Welcome back to Pepper School here at the Garden of Apologies. I am your Barmy Farmer. I'm a little low key today because yesterday was Heatwave Hot Sauce Expo in London, Ontario. We had a terrific time, but we got home last night about 3:30 in the morning. I didn't get a whole lot of sleep. Spent most of the day yesterday talking, so I'm a little on the raspy side. But I've got a couple of things I want to talk to you about today here in the grow tent. So let's have a look at it, please. First, need a sip of my coffee. All right. See this here? In response to the audio comment I had in the last video, I've picked up a new USB lavalier microphone. So I'm hoping this gives you a little bit better audio quality on what we're looking at. Got a couple things I want to look at today. A bit of an update on the progress of what we have of our germination trays here. I have another helmet head I want to take a crack at, and then we'll take a break. We'll step over to the other grow tent, and I'll talk about the aphid problem I'm starting into today, or starting into so far this season, and how to mitigate that as best as I know how. So first off, let's have a look here. It's going to tilt you on up here on the camera. There we go. Oh, sorry about moving you a little bit too fast there, but I've got this funky little tripod thingy here that's helping me out. So you may remember these trays from last episode. Where can I set you up? There we go. All right. So here's one. This is a good angle down there, I think. Awesome. All right. So this tray we looked at last week on the last episode. I've got a new developments here. This tray is pretty much done. I've got just about all the activity out of here I'm expecting to see. Though I have one more little tiny it's a peach ghost and reaper cross, and I have a partial helmet head here from the golden prematales. So we shuffle these trays here so I can show you a bit better. As we did last time, the way I like to get the seeds out, or the seedlings out, is this is an old plant tag I have. A bit of thickness to it, just as a comparison to one of my current plant tags. These are little flimsy plastic flexible guys I got in a package of 1,000. And they're labeled up in UV resistant Sharpie marker. So they often survive a season or two. The tags themselves will stick around for a few years. It's not a big deal there. I just end up having to scrawl on some of them and rewrite the tag names. Anyway, this is the operative plant tag here. This is the one I use for transplanting. So pop it right down in the side there, and let me pull out my tray. This is our guy right over here. Just a quick shuffle down here. There we go. So the seedling tray here with our seedling in it, our transplant tray here as the plants are progressing. So you see I've got some pretty good growth on here from last week. So first thing, this is my Reaper and Peach Ghost column. My next available cell is number 4 here. So I just scoop out a bit of the ProMix BX I have in there. Back to this tray. I'm down to the bottom. So pry it up nicely. And there you go. For the cells in which I'm planting multiple seeds. Oh, I think that's a cat here. Look at that. Cat here right out of the ground. But the process I use there is very similar to this. Just assuming I had multiple seeds here. The process I then use is, instead of dropping the entire plug into the new tray, is I break it down a little bit and gently squeeze it, wiggle it with my finger. See the bottom of the root coming out here? There. And grab the plant here. There we go. Very gently by the first set of leaves. Give it a bit of a tap and a wiggle, and it's out. So I have multiple cells in there, multiple seeds in the cell. This is how I separate them out. If they're still in the cell down here, my trick is to wiggle it up much as I did here with my hand, just so the soil breaks up a little bit, and then the seedling can be pulled out individually. But in this case, throw this warm seed starter back in here, carefully pack it around the root. Here we go. And then pack down around it, leaving a bit of head clearance. I think I missed the root there. We repack that properly. There we go. Again, I'm running on about 3.5 hours sleep last night and a full day of talking yesterday. So I'm not 100% today, but plants don't care what I think. Plants want to grow, and I got to get on them. So let me just show you here what I did. And this is our cell. There. This little baby guy here is dwarfed by all the plants around it. But it's now in a new home, and within another week or two, they'll be looking a bit more like this. So these little seedlings here are onto their second set of true leaves, and they're just about ready for their potting up. While we're talking about these, I'll pull my golden primatalis back out to the front. So that is the next little guy we're to deal with. So this little helmet head, to look at this again, just as we did with the last episode, the trick is I'm down in here and I pry this up. And let's just pretend for a moment here that this is one of the seedlings that has, or one of the cells rather, that has multiple seedlings in it. So I just kind of tap it gently like this, give it a bit of a wiggle, and we are out. So that is the fledgling seedling now free. And oh, it's an easy helmet head because I had one of the cotyledons out already. And there we go. It's just a nice little sprinkle, and we're free. And this is my golden reaper tray. So I'll shuffle it back over here and replace it with the tray that has the golden primatali. And again, this is my golden primatali column here. My last cell is already scooped out. So what I'm going to do for this one, I just transfer hands, as I'm a righty here, scoop out the Jiffy seed starter mix I have in there to my open cell, tuck the roots in a way here where I've got the head and new growth coming out, and pack it down in gently, making sure I still leave that green cotyledon pair sticking out. So this is what it looks like. And it's a golden primatali, a tiny little guy here in the new home. That's how it comes together. So back up to me. Hi. We're going to pause for just a moment as I shift out to the other other grow tent I have. That's where I've potted some stuff up. So normally with my 144 cell trays like this, I reuse them year after year. They originally came from a Jolly Farmer order I did through the local Mennonite community, where I was able to piggyback on their their flower seedling order and get some extra like jalapenos, habaneros, tomatoes, reaper plants, some of the more commonplace peppers I've been able to pick up in these trays, and it saves me having to sow an extra 1,500 plants. I'm growing the unusual stuff here from seed, but things like jalapenos that you can get basically anywhere, it makes more sense to me just to pick up a tray of 144 or 2 trays, or even a 288 cell pack, and have those started for me. So I reuse these year after year. To start the season, I scrub them down with soap and water. Uh, I may change that process and include a bit of hydrogen peroxide next year just to give it more of a sanitization, because I believe that one of these trays here had some aphids on it, and I've picked up a minor aphid infestation, and I believe I can nip that in the bud. It's been 2, perhaps 3 weeks now that I've been processing it. I had one tray affected just down at one end, and I think I have this nipped in the bud. Let me pause for a second here, and I'll show you in the other grow tent how I'm working on that. So back in 1 sec. Hang on. We're back for a brief second here under the pink lights back on. I'm in the first grow tent for an extra 2 minutes or so. I've just discovered something that I'd like to share with you. Uh, the timeline on seedlings coming up, if you've got the right conditions, I'd say an annuum is going to run you 3, maybe 7 days before you start popping. The Bacadums are slightly longer than that. Chinenses, that include the super hots, take a little bit longer than that. So this is an unexpected surprise. As I was repositioning this tray here, behind one of the seeds, the seedlings, or seedling tags. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Again, still tired today. I had a bonus prematale sticking out. So I'm quickly going to transplant that. And this is just a very quick excuse to talk about that timelines as we just did. So about 4 to 7 days for the annuums. I'd say maybe 5 to 10 days before you're seeing the Bacadums coming up. And the Chinenses sometimes can take a few weeks. So this is a trade that's been in process for a while, and I'm not expecting to see much more from it. So this morning, that golden prematale we've transplanted, the peach ghost and reaper cross, and this red prematale, they're surprises. In light of that, as you may see just over here under the pink light, these are trays that are still under the lights and still doing their thing with the heat mats. Just tilt you a bit. These trays here, down this guy over here, are ones that are off the heat mat that I'm leaving for another, well, I'll leave them as long as I have space for them. Because, as we just saw, Chinenses will surprise you, and they may pop up when you think the tray is done. So I'll get on that. I'll be back in just a moment, for real this time. We are back in grow tent number 2. So first thing, I'm just doing a little pan down here before I set up the tripod. These are seedlings I transplanted last weekend. So you can already see the size difference between these and the ones that we were just looking at in the initial grow tent. So grow tent 2 has the transplanted up plants. Got some really good growth coming on these guys here. Just tilt you down here. There we go. So you've got the weird pink light just to get it bright enough here that you can see what we're doing. Because as we're getting into the aphids in the next step, we're going to need that light to be able to see them well. So these are really progressing. I'm particularly fond of these goat brains down here at the front. They are close to the soil, so they're not leggy at all. They're flushing out very nicely, and they are in terrific shape. So these are very healthy, very happy plants with a dark, dark green on them. They got a bit of a bonus last week. My wife, Nina, has a friend with an aquarium, and Nick was nice enough, there we go, that when he cleaned his aquarium, he gave us a bucket of extra aquarium water. So it was stray aquarium water that he had no use for, but fish water and aquarium water has a lot of really good nutrients for plants, particularly peppers. So Nina brought home an empty 5-gallon soy sauce bucket of plant water, to be plant water, aquarium water that became plant water. And I've watered the plants with that. And you you see they have responded accordingly. These plants are thriving. On the other hand, we turn our attention over to this part of the grow tent. Just shift you forward. A bit of meta there. You see the laptop, so I can reference what we're doing here. And tilt you down so we're looking here. Okay. Camera cord out of the way. These are the problem trays. I wasn't planning to pot up as quickly as I did, but with the evidence of aphids on a few of these seedlings, I thought it was worth moving away the part of the tray that was still intact away from the part of the tray that was starting to show the infestation, just to help segregate things out and protect the plants that were still uninfected. And while I was going on the process, I was having fun, so I just transplanted up another dozen trays because it's going to happen eventually. So let's have a look over here. I'll highlight the Chernobyl jalapenos at the start of this tray. So never mind the color, it's a little distorted with the pink here. We're looking mostly at the shapes. So this is a leaf here that has some aphid damage on it. See, it's not really a good shape. It's a little bit gnarly, a little bit twisted up. Similarly, the new growth on a few of these seedlings. I got this one down here as well. The leaves are gnarled and slightly eaten. So these were affected seedlings, and I've been giving them some extra attention. Daily inspections for aphids and squishing off anything I can find as I find it. The absolute best way I found to get rid of aphids is to move the plants outside. So we're in a protected environment in here. There we go. I see some aphids right there. Right on this. Shift this around carefully, because I don't want to touch the other plant trays. But you look with me here, right down at the center of this. Got little white dots. So squishing them like this certainly gets rid of them. The absolute best way to get rid of aphids is to move the plant tray outside. So I've got a little microcosm in here in the grow tent, and it's a very protected environment. So there's not a lot of wind yet. The seedlings are still starting out, so I haven't yet set up the circulation fans. So they aren't quite necessary yet, but at some point I will have the circulation fans in here just to keep the plants properly ventilated. But for now, with no circulation fan, there's nothing moving the aphids around. And that's also the other reason why I don't have my circulation fans going, and why I've got my greenhouse heater just back over here behind the camera, blowing past the good plants towards the affected plants. That way, if there's any risk of aphids in the air movement in here from the heater is moving them from the good plants towards the bad plants, and thus protecting the better plants. Here's another seedling here. This one, let's see if I can. These are detachable here. So let's just crack this one out so I can lift it up to the camera for you. Did I get this in focus for you? Up here, some little tiny white dots in there in the center. But these, I just pinched the leaf, and that deals with the aphids who are on it. The other really good thing to do is, here, back to me for a second. I pop outside. I've got a deck just a few meters back from here, and I'll take them outside and give them a good shake. Again, once the air movement goes, it blows the aphids off the plants. There are no predators in here. I don't have aphids. There are no mites. I don't have any parasitic wasps. So the aphids have no predators other than me, the human. And I have no use for them. So I'll just squish them and get rid of them. If I take them out to the deck, the little seedling here, all I do is I take a seedling, tap it like that, and maybe give it a blow off. And that puts the aphids off the plant into the environment. And it's still February here in Ontario, so it is way too cold to be planting out there. Uh, we hit -12 last night for an extra cold night. So the aphids aren't going to survive more than a few minutes outside, if that at all. So uh, over the last 3 weeks or so that I've seen these aphids on this little bloom, I've been taking the plant trays outside, shaking them off vigorously, and blowing them in the wind. And then they come back inside. They sit on a segregated shelf here where I've got a bit of a gap between the good shelf and the bad shelf. And that's keeping the aphids at bay for now. Best case scenario is you don't get them. But if you do get them, all hope is not lost. If I can keep these plants alive and limping along at the very least until late March, it should be warm enough to get out into the greenhouse of extreme regret. And at that point, it's pretty much free sailing. We are clear and the aphids will be gone. So that's what I've got for you today. Again, thanks for bearing with me today because I'm a little on the tired side. It was a heck of a hot sauce expo yesterday. It gives me the purpose of what to do with the peppers after I grow them. So thank you very much for watching Pepper School. Thanks for watching me take care of my babies here. I've got one here, unfortunately, that looks like it's been a little too far gone in the aphid process. This plant may not be recoverable. So I may just pop that one Ahipology out and replace it with another seedling. So this is Pepper School. Thank you again for watching. I'm Eric. I'm the Barmy Farmer. This is gardenofapologies.ca. Please also check out sorrysauce.ca if you are so inclined. And I will talk to you again in another week or two and give you an update on where we are. And eventually, you'll get to see me build a greenhouse outside. That's going to be fun. And then a few months down the road, you'll see me eat at least one pod from each of these plants, just so I can tell you what it tastes like and what the heat feels like. Thank you again. I'm going to go drink some coffee and take it easy. See you next time.